We've seen the use of calculated fields to manipulate the values of other fields, either mathematically on numbers, because we did some percentages, or even concatenating text strings and stripping text strings down to less values. Now we can use some other functions on date fields to give us different values. So we go to create query and design based on our customers table. Let's put the first name and last name in. And then we have a number of date fields in here, mainly the date first purchased and the birth date. And if we view, we can see that information quite happily. Now, if we only want part of a date field, say for example, we only want the year, or we only want the month, or we only want the day, then we can extract that using a calculated field. So in an X blank column, I put the new name for the new field. I'm going to put YOB for year of birth, colon. Then there is a nice function called the year that simply extracts the year from a date value. So it's year, open brackets. I then put the field inside those brackets that I wish to calculate the year for. That's year, birth, date, close brackets. And when I leave the field, you'll see that it puts the square brackets on for me. View, and then I get everyone's date of birth. Now the advantage to doing that is that I can then use that field and add some criteria to find anyone born in 1970. And we find that there are quite a few actually, 608 of them. That's a lot simpler than trying to feed the wildcard characters in that we used before into the birth date field. So that's the year of birth. Let's do the whole little family so you can see all the functions. What about month of birth? Well, there's a little function called month. Just too logical at times. Open brackets, birth date, close round brackets. When I leave, Access puts the square brackets on for me, only because I have no spaces in my field names, don't forget that. View, and then I see the month number. So it's not the month name, it's the number of the month. But I know that 8 is August. And then the next one in the family, let's do the little zoom in for that one, is the day of birth, DOB, colon. The function is day. Field we're interested in is a birth date. Close round brackets, okay. You see it's put the square brackets on for me, and view. And then I get the day of their actual birth. So this person was born the 8th, the month was April, and the year was 1966. Now, quite cleverly in Access, mainly because they know I would have asked for it anyway, if we get the month number, which we have with our MOB field here, we can actually take that month number and use another function to turn that into the month name, which is more what we're used to as human beings. So let's do that in a new field. And again, we'll do the zoom in. Don't forget that that's Shift F2. And this is going to be the month name. So I'm going to call it MoName, colon. Now, in order to calculate the month name, I actually need to use two functions, one inside the other. Firstly, I need to calculate the actual month number. So that's month of birth date. I then need to take the result of that function and put it inside another function. And that other function is called month name, open brackets, and then right at the end, close brackets. So one function here, month of birth date, calculates the number of the month, so that's between 1 and 12, feeds that value into this outer function, the month name function, to give me January to December. So we have there an embedded function. Okay, view, and we see we are now working out the actual month that people were born. We could have done that for the date first purchased. Now that you can actually calculate these values, you can use them in criteria, much more human-based criteria. Let's look for people who were born in April. So we put the human value in of April. It's now a text string, so get speech marks around it. And view, I see that quite a few, 1676 people born in April. So we have a number of functions that work on dates, allowing us to strip the date down into its 3 separate components. Once you're in your 3 separate components, you can then do further, either here, criteria, as we have done, or feed one of those values into another function, as we have done, to get the month name. We could even feed them even further. So if I were to take this field, so my new calculator field, copy what I've done and paste that into the next available column. One thing I will need to do is change MoName, because we can't have two columns called the same thing. I'm going to call this MoName AB, because I'm now going to abbreviate the month name. So let's zoom in to do that. So we know we've got one function that is inside another function. Well, let's put that function inside another. We're going to place it inside the left function. It's going to take our total month name, whatever that might be, and return just the first 3 characters. So that's the abbreviated month. That's okay. Let's remove this criteria, otherwise we'll only see April's. And view, and we see abbreviated. April becomes APR, May becomes May. That's not very abbreviated. August becomes Aug, all the way through, first 3 letters. One further step will be to embed that inside another function that turns those 3 letters into uppercase. So in design, there's no limit really, except your imagination as to what you are able to do. So to turn all of this lot into uppercase, I have to embed the whole lot inside another function, which is called ucase. Open brackets, and then close brackets at the end. So all of the functions that you use have an open and a close bracket. Within the open and close bracket goes whatever value is being fed into that function, and then the function does what it's been told to do. And here we have the month function embedded inside the month name function, embedded inside the left function, embedded inside the ucase function. Okay. View, and we then see our abbreviated months in uppercase. So here we've been able to use some date functions, month, day, year, and then further take those forward by embedding those functions inside other functions so we can actually manipulate what we're getting to see.